بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So it mentions here, I don't know if we did istikhara, I think we did istikhara. So it says في كل في كل مباح أو واجب أو مندوب لا مكروه أو محرم فتكره في الأول أي في المكروه على المعتمد وتحرم في الثاني. So here it says على المعتمد. It's arguable that doing istikhara, should I eat with my left hand or not? Right? Um, it's arguably batil because there's no khair. You know, you're doing istikhara is talab al khair. There's no khair in it. Right? وهي صلاة قبل استخارة وطلب خير طلب خير الأمرين, which of these two is best. And he says وصلاة الزوال, right? So this is before the 4 rakahs before dhuhr, right? Salat al-zawal. أي بعده وقت الزوال يعني بعده وقبل سنة الظهر لأنه متى قارن إحرامه بصلاة, right, لا تنعقد حيث لم يكن لها سبب, etc. So that wouldn't count. So Salat al-zawal is 2 rakahs after zawal. وصلاة قضاء مؤقتة وهو أعم من قوله راتبة, right? So praying a sunnah that has a time. You cannot do qada of a sunnah that has a core, a reason, but it has a time. So what does that mean, guys? If a sunnah has a cause that's a reason, you can't do qada of it. But if sunnah has a time, you can do qada of it.
تحية المسجد والرواتب.
Okay, so Tahiyat al-Masjid. Can I do qada of Tahiyat al-Masjid?
لا.
You can't do it. Qada of Salat al-Tawbah. I made Tawbah, I don't know. I should do the 2 rakahs for the Tawbah I did 20 years ago. Right? Tahiyat al-Masjid, whatever. The 2 rakahs, um, yeah. So something that has a cause like that, 2 rakahs after wudu, he didn't do it. خلاص, there's no qada of it. As opposed to kusuf khusuf, you can't do qada of it. Right? Whereas something that has a time, you can do qada of it. Right? And I believe that's an issue of the asah. If you can look in the majmu', in the minhaj, Sheikh. So just a general piece of advice. Even though most of us haven't studied the minhaj, it should just be around us. You know, it's like my friend. He was American, played American football. So his dad asked him, said, "You like, you want to play American football?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Sleep with it. Like wherever you go, always have your ball in your hand. You know." So the minhaj is like one of these things, like just you know, it's like you be familiar with it. It's always there. You know, you can just grab it, etc. So here, I'm just quickly looking at this. I often look at Mahali anyway, just because I have it in one volume and it's just nice. Um, the khilaf al sahih, you cannot do that. Where is this? It's either going to be right before Jannah is, or it's going to be someone else as well. Look there. One, two. So here it says in the Minhaj, لو فات النفل المؤقت ندب قضاؤه في الأظهر كما تقضي والثاني لا يندب قضاؤه. So the question is هل. So presumably we have a position in our school that is, so here it says here, um, وفي قول يقضي فائت النهار ما لم تغرب شمسه وفائت الليل ما لم يطلع فجره. Yeah, that's also a قيل. And so that when you say يقضي, meaning wouldn't it actually be valid? So the issue here is that basically, unlike the fard, because the fard is forced on you, so you have to pay it back. Whereas here it's like a window and you didn't do it, so therefore it would be invalid actually. You know what I'm saying? So you can imagine there's a qawl that would say that that it's actually invalid to do qada of the prayers. Let me just have a quick look in the Rawda as well, actually. Quick look at the looking the Rawda here. So the issue is basically there could actually be an end time, and therefore, okay. So it says here in the Rawda, it says النافلة قسمان أحدهما غير مؤقتة وإنما تفعل لسبب عارض كصلاة الكسوفين والاستسقاء وتحية المسجد، وهذا لا مدخل للقضاء فيه. والثاني مؤقتة كالعيد والضحى والرواتب التابعة للفرائض. وفي قضائها أقوال. So you missed the two rak'ahs after dhuhr. It's now asr. Can you do qada of it or not? أظهرهما تقضى والثاني لا. والثالث ما استقل كالعيد والضحى قضي وما كان تابعا كالرواتب فلا. وإذا قلنا تقضى فالمشهور أنها تقضى أبدا. والثاني تقضى صلاة النهار ما لم تغرب شمسه وفائت الليل ما لم يطلع فجره. So notice Sheikh Qais, that Mahali is copying word verbatim from the Rawdah here. Right? It's like um, فيقضى ركعتي الفجر فيقضي ركعتي الفجر ما دام النهار باقيا. والثالث يقضي كل تابع ما لم يصلي فريضة مستقبلة فيصلي الوتر ما لم يصلي الصبح ويقضي etc. So basically once you start praying the next prayer, it's over. So anyway, the dhahir is when he says yuqdi or la yaqdi, or it's this time or that time. The dhahir is that they would be invalid to pray at another time. So you're doing khalas, like you've prayed Asr now, so now you want to pray your two rak'ahs after dhuhr. Can you do qada of it on the position that once you've prayed Asr, there's no more qada? No, you cannot. So what does it mean cannot? Does it mean sinful? So yes, it's actually a ibadah batila, and you can't do that. It's a bid'ah in the sense of the bid'ah police, right? That's what we're going to label it as. On the relied upon position, no, khalas. The time came in 20 years ago for you to pray, uh, uh, I don't know, 2 rak'ahs before Dhuhr. خلاص. Sabab is there and then the ibadah is still valid. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And in general, this is again how we should live life. Is you, in general, basically you have a life. Say what is supposed to happen in your life? These are the things that have to happen in my life. Why would they not happen? Well, there's some excuses come up here and there. But generally speaking, you're going to say, fine, the excuse is no longer there. And particularly someone like Sheikh Qais, so professional mutahajjid and professional faqih, right? Um, then it's like, okay, you're not married, you don't have kids. Habibi, just do qada of your prayers, your sunnahs. So you didn't have time. You came in, everyone's praying dhuhr, you go and pray dhuhr, and then you do qada of, you pray your 4 rakahs after dhuhr, and then you pray your other 4 rakahs before dhuhr, right? So like, why are you praying 8 rakahs after dhuhr? I'm doing qada. So what's your problem? You don't have to do that. I know. But I do have a standard that I hold myself to, that every single day I pray these sunnahs, right? So you have a system and you keep to it and you do qada of it later on, you know? All things being equal. And then basically you have this sledgehammer mentality, like this is how you do things. And now a day comes when you're not able to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends angels to do it for you. But it's very important, right? And I can't emphasize enough, both of you, inshallah, Jawad's getting married on Friday and Qais then the Friday after that, inshallah, ya Rab. But you have no idea how much time you have if you're not married, you know? And then once you're married, you have no idea how much time you have uh, w without kids, right? So kids, it's almost like infinite time. This happened, that happened, this happened, that happened, right? You could neglect your kids half of the time, I guess. You can get away with that, I guess, but that's a pretty bad thing to do, right? So, so anyway, we got to be serious. Have a system. Look at your schedule. You work 9 to 5. You got to commute. You got to do this. You got to do that. What can you do on a regular basis? Hold yourself to it and do qada of it if you don't finish it. That's a standard you need to have, right? That's how we have to function. Don't give yourself a wird, meaning a daily regimen that you can't do, but give yourself something you can do so that you can hold yourself to it. Because if you can't hold yourself to it, it'll all fall apart. Does that make sense? And so I just want to give you an example of my math teacher. My math teacher, she said that her and her boyfriend, that she was like, I don't know, like 25 then or 30, I'm not sure how old she was. I was like, my math teacher. So she said, look, my boyfriend and I, we have this system. Every single Friday night we go out. There's money, there's no money. We have exams, no exams. He had been dating him since university or whatever it was, and they're still together. And it's like, that's what we do. This is a relationship sunnah. Like it doesn't matter what happens. I'm busy, you're busy. We do this every single Friday, you know? So I'm not talking about it in terms of having a girlfriend or going out with your girlfriend. What I'm talking about is somebody, there's a relationship and you have these certain relationship things and you keep them there, right? And you fight for them because you're reality fighting for your relationship. Because you fast forward and then Qais has outbidded whatever and bought Google, and then he's busy with this and he's busy with that, and then this happened, that happened, then like, dude, what happened to your awrad, right? Whereas if you have a pulse, this small amount of ibadah, however many rak'ahs you can stick to on a daily basis, this is always there, right? It's always there, you know. Like this old lady, she was in hospital. She woke up, got out of bed, made wudu, prayed 8 rak'ahs, lied down, died. That's every single day of her life, last 50 years. 8 rak'ahs of duha, خلاص, right? That's what you have to be. And then, so once you prove that to Allah, then there's flexibility. And once your consistency is your default, then it's okay. But what's the problem is things change, right? And then in terms of Riyah as well, why is it that you're on this, you're suddenly turn up in Tareem, Qais got a free ticket to Tareem, and suddenly he's with Habib Omar and he's praying more. And now he's fighting the Riyah. Am I trying to worship Allah? Am I trying to show off to my sheikh and trying to impress him? Da, 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 da. And it's like, no, no, no. I always do this. This is me. I always do the same ibadah. Doesn't matter what happens. So then there's no issue of riyah. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very important thing. The wird, man laysa lahu wird wala ird fahuwa. Who knows the phrase? I wonder if ChatGPT knows it. Does anyone have ChatGPT?
If I'm using Sajah, Sheikh, a certain word comes to my mind, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Man laysa lahu wird wala ird, right? He doesn't have any self-respect. It's like, hey, I saw your wife with some guy. I was like, oh yeah? Doesn't care. Someone's like, "Hey, your daughter's really good looking." Like you're like, "Oh, thank you." You weirdo, right? Like he has no ird. He has no self-respect. Wala wird. He doesn't have a something that he sticks to. فهو gird. He is a monkey. فهو قرد, right? فهو he's a monkey. He's not a human being, right? So, and if we have ird but no wird or wird and no ird, then we are, half man, half ape, right? We need to, so it's very, very important. Really, really important. Micro habits, right? Micro habits. Unbelievably important. Okay, so when you're married and have kids and have been doing that for a while, there are slightly different things. Like I've changed certain things, right? I have changed certain things, and you do have to kind of calm down. But I'm telling you, I'm not trying to like show off. Like at 16, that's who I was. I was the kid who's like, I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm at the train station 4 rakahs before dhuhr, dhuhr, uh, you know, uh, not joining unless I have to. And that's the person we have to be. That's like when, the principle in fiqh is what? إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع وإذا اتسع الأمر ضاق, right? So, hey, you just got married, you had to take on a second job, and you got triplets, right? Okay, chill, bro. إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع. Things get easier because things are dark, right? حبيبي وإذا اتسع الأمر ضاق, right? When things are easy, things get stricter. So you have an easier setup. It's like you're not married. You can just go to the corner of the room and pray, right? Your mum's not talking to you non-stop. Your dad's not talking to you non-stop. It's not like insane. It's not the same. Whereas like, oh man, you're suddenly married. This takes a lot of time. So man, I wish I did more ibadah before I got married. Oh my God, this baby wakes up every half an hour. Is this how am I going to function? So yeah, Habibi, welcome to the world, right? So you're always tired, always busy, always doing something, always juggling five things, right? So man, I was like, I didn't realize. So yeah, there we go. So Alhamdulillah, somebody sent you today, like guys, before you get married, before you have kids, be a person of ibadah, right? Be a person of work. You work your, 40 to 60 hours. You do your, you do what you need to do. You do your ilm and you do your ibadah and you like, yeah, have a system, right? Otherwise, it's seriously problematic, right? Because we're not interested in what's happening today, we're interested in happening in what's 50 years, right? Sheikh Qais, how old do you know? Qais? 24. So we're not interested in what he's going to be doing today. We're interested in what he's doing when he's 74. He's 74. How is he? I've been doing this dua every single day for the last 50 years. I've been praying the same 2 rakahs at this time for the last 50 years. It's not a lot. No one will be that impressed by what he does, but it's consistency, right? So don't be surprised, right? There's one of the Salaf who said this. I can't remember. Like, don't be surprised about people who are lost. Be surprised about people who are guided, right? Don't be surprised by people who stop doing something because that's just very normal. Be surprised about people who continue, right? وصلاة قضاء مؤقتة وهو عام من قوله راتبة because it could be something else like ضحى وصلاة رجوع من سفر, right? So do you think that's easy for me to do right now? Like when I come out of the car right now with like 3 little kids, and a wife that's about to pass out. I think it's easy for me to look, oh yeah, guys, I'm just praying 2 rakats. I think it's easy. It's not going to be easy, is it? So did you used to do that before? Oh, okay. So you know what I'm saying? Like there's a track record. You've established a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, yeah, Allah, I used to do these things, but I can't do it. Okay, no worries. But you didn't used to do it anyway. So what does it mean that you don't do it now? وصلاة سنة وضوء وصلاة بعد الأذان. Right. So after every adhan, there's 2 rak'ahs. Right. وصلاة النفل مطلق. That's just praying. So mutlaq means just, right? And ma mutlaq, just water, right? Just a prayer. So it's a qaid that is a non-qaid. If that makes sense. Like it's a qualification, like unqualified extra prayers, just praying, right? وهو ما لا يتقيد بوقت ولا سبب, right? ولا حصر له لخبر ابن حبان في صحيحه الصلاة خير موضوع فاستكثر أو أقل, right? أقل, أقل جاء بقليل, أكثر جاء بكثير, right? أكبر جاء بكبير, فعل شيء كبيرا, right? وسجود تلاوة is also considered a prayer. وشكر وسهو وسيأتي بيانها في محال with شدة لها. وفي عدها من الصلاة تسمح. Like there's تسمح, it's not تسامح or تسمح, it's not exactly, right? وغيرها من زيادة كصلاة الحاجة وركعتي الطواف وصلاة آه آم، آه والصلاة عند القتل, right? والخروج من المنزل ودخوله وآكدها. So this is why this is important. I don't want to know which ones I can skip. It's I want to know which ones to prioritize. What's the difference between skipping something and prioritizing something?
In what sense, I guess?
So I ask you, if, for example, you give me a list, I'm going camping. I say, bro, can you just tell me what the important things are? Because I just want to skip the unimportant things. Versus I say, can you tell me what the things are that I should prioritize?
Hmm. Okay. If you prioritize things, then you're going to ensure that you do those first and with more care, and it doesn't imply that you're going to skip the rest.
Hmm. So when somebody says, "Oh, it's not Sunnah Mu'akkadah, therefore I'm not going to do it," that's totally wrong, right? So again, the mentality I shared, I think Qais, were in the class yesterday about the gun. Were we in the, when I was talking about like have the gun
No.
to your head? Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah,
Oh, sorry.
right.
That was today, actually. Not never mind. Not
Yeah,
yesterday.
you're
Because
today,
yeah, but
my
yes, I was
yesterday,
there. I was there.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So again, it's like so if you had a gun to your head, you would do a lot of things, right? You do anything, right? And I'm like, you know. So I'm like, it's like you just do a lot of things. So this is the mentality. It's like, do you, Jawad, Qais, Fareed Dingle, do you have a good record? No, sir, I don't have a good track record, right? So are you trying to save yourself from hellfire? I say, yes, sir. Okay, so you're going to do everything you can, right, to get out of hell. So yeah, okay. So you're obviously going to prioritize certain things. You're not going to skip certain things. So the only reason you're going to miss a sunnah is because it's not a priority, right? It's not a priority, right? After Ramadan, my wife's like, we should fast more. And so I said, nope. She's like, what's your problem? Like, you're the sheikh. You're not going to fast more? I was like, no, I'm not going to fast more. So why? It's not a priority. Like when I'm fasting, can't do anything. Can't teach this class. Can't do this. I can't do anything basically. So I would love to fast. I'd love to fast every day. It's just not a priority, you know? Right. So there's a big difference between prioritizing something. Yeah, Allah, I'm leaving that which you love for that which you love more. Oh, okay. That's called prioritizing, as opposed to, oh Allah, I don't actually like you that much. I don't feel you that much. You're not worth it. You're not worth going the extra mile. Right. So by default, we do every single sunnah. Like, yeah, but I'm at work, and right now I'm in a meeting, and this is more important. But if it isn't more important, then leave. Yeah, why not? I used to tell the kids at school, I'm teaching teenagers. I said, you guys are moral agents, right? You're mukallafin. I said, if this class, this Islamic studies class, is not the best thing you could possibly be doing at this moment, then why then go somewhere else? Why should you be doing something that is not the best possible thing, right? You don't just do things. We do things that this is the best possible thing. So we leave a sunnah, say there's a reason, you know, there's a reason. Everyone's eating, for example. And I remember a specific scenario with myself. Forgive like these tangents, but it's important just in like, I was, I don't know, guess your age, Sheikh Qais, and living with my dad. My dad's older than me, much older than me, doesn't need my company. Has his wife. She doesn't need my company, not my mum. My mum was in Morocco at the time, I'm pretty sure. So my mum wasn't around. Nobody needs my society. So I'd come home, is in winter, come home, by 7:30 I'm in bed. So I can sleep from 7:30 and wake up at 2:30. Fantastic. Isn't that great? Just dedicate ibadah, studies, all these things. Fantastic. And after a while I felt something was off. Because what was happening is I basically go to work till like 4 or 5, and then go to the masjid, go to a class, and then come home and not see anybody. So I actually basically like I just like saw my dad like here and there, like see him at the prayer, see him like, and I was like, actually I should sit down with them and like eat. But they're gonna eat after Isha, and they're gonna take their sweet time. So when I come home at 7:30, instead of being in bed at 7 or 7:30 or 8, I'm gonna be in bed at like 9. But isn't sitting down with your family, isn't that sunnah as well? So then the question we ask is not what is good or what is not good. Your question is, Ya Allah, which do you love more? Do you want me to pray? Do you want me to get up earlier for tahajjud? Or do you want me to sit with my parents? Right? And most people say actually sitting with your parents is quite important. Right? This is quite important thing. Like you're just a nice person to be around. Like Habib, we're eating, you know. Um, you know, and some of this stuff is not just like it's not like, your mum made food, like Habibi, for crying out loud, eat her food. Right? That's like super rude, right? Oh, I'm just praying, Mama. It's like, Habibi, pray later, right? Like there's also there's levels, right? With my mom, I could say, I'll pray. Can I just pray? She wouldn't mind. Somebody else would really mind, right? And so, like, break your mother's heart or insult her to pray. It's like, doesn't make any sense. So it's not that you're leaving the sunnah, it's that you're prioritizing a greater sunnah. So that's what we're trying to do. What's next, right? Very important thing. Out of fear, out of love, out of wafa, right? Wafa, it's wafa, right? And so if it's not fear, you're dead scared, then it's love, then it's raja, then it's, ta'zeem, you know, etc. Um, so 2 rak'ahs before you leave the house, right? Get stuff done. You want to get stuff done today? Go and pray 2 rak'ahs, right? Give sadaqah. And these are very useful worldly means to do things, right? Praying 2 rak'ahs in the morning, quickly praying 2 rak'ahs, right? Doesn't take that long. A lot of things that you can do quicker than you imagine. Um, وآكدها صلاة عيد لتأكد طلبها وللخلاف أنها فرض كفاية. Right? So it's because it's debated with فرض كفاية, not this is the most important thing. So missing Eid, that was the biggest thing to miss out on. Right? فكسوف شمس فقمر لخوف فوتهما بالانجلاء. Excuse me. وكالمؤقت بالزمان. Right? Something that's tied to a time. وقدم الكسوف على الخسوف لتقدم الشمس على القمر في القرآن والأخبار. ولأن الانتفاع بها أكثر منه به. وخص الكسوف بالشمس والكسوف بالقمر. Something? What does it say? بالقمر. Something على ما اشتهر. Let's see what it's saying here. بناء با نون ألف همزة بناء excuse me على ما اشتهر من الاختصاص على قول الجوهري أنه الأجود وإن كان الأصح عند الجمهور أنهما بمعنى واحد بمعنى واحد they mean the same thing there isn't actually a difference so Jawhari in his Sahah I think author of the Sahah it's called the Sihah or the Sahah of Jawhari he said that قول أنه الأجود وإن كان الأصح عند الجمهور أنهما بمعنى واحد فاستسقاء لتأكدها بسن الجماعة فيها right فوتر خروج من خلاف من أوجبه فركعتا فجر خروج من خلاف من أوجبه in reality Hassan al-Basri said it's wajib right like you have to pray that لخبر مسلم ركعة الفجر خير من الدنيا وما فيها فسائر الرواتب then there are extra other rawatib and once again what is the role of the rawatib is you are warming yourself up right you're warming yourself up okay so you start off by making wudu you're now in and you're quiet you're not talking when you're making wudu and then now as you're walking to the prayer you're focusing you're not in joking modes you shouldn't be joking while you're making wudu or between wudu and prayer you're in prayer mode so it's all preparation right then you pray your sunnahs next level of preparation now the big thing right so in general somebody who doesn't who isn't knocked out 5 times a day right by the thought of prayer there's a serious problem right it's kind of it's like weird right so somebody may Allah forgive me the analogy but it's a bit like a prostitute right so a prostitute does some very weird emotional things because intercourse is deeply emotional so what they do is they live this weird life where they're kind of totally disconnected. It's just work, it's just money. They're really weird people, right? And they kind of like they probably have most of them probably have like serious psychological problems. So, forgive the tashbih, but it's like that. Like you just prayed dhuhr, how was it? Like, what do you mean? How was it? How was what? You just prayed dhuhr. I don't understand. Was there a class before dhuhr? I said, no, dhuhr itself. Like, how was dhuhr? It's like, I don't know. I wasn't really wasn't really too focused. It's like, bro, this is like the knockout. This is your knockout blow of the day. Like, how can you not know what you recited in the first rak'ah? How can you not know? How can that not have imprinted upon you? Because you're a seriously messed up person. That's why. Right? So this is how we have to be. Is like each prayer is a knockout. It can be quick, right? Just like, for example, the one time you can see your son a year, and you just say, I'm really sorry. Messed things up for you, bro. I'm sorry. You're in jail because some stupid thing. You remember each moment, right? So you're not meeting your son, you're not meeting your dad, you're meeting Allah, right? So it's we have to fake it till you make it, right? And be embarrassed, right? We should be embarrassed, right? See reality as it is. And yeah, I'm just like it's a weird person, You're like that. With Bilal, like that prostitute said, and her friend asked her, "How was it? Like, how was what?" It's just like whatever. I don't know. Like it doesn't mean anything. Whereas a normal person, intercourse, for example, is an emotional process. It leaves an emotional imprint on you, right? It's a deep process. Somebody was like, oh, like they forgot that they slept with somebody the other day. Like that's a bit weird, right? Kind of forgot about it. Seemed like you just forgot that you prayed. Like, oh, did I pray? Did I not pray? Like, what are we talking about? Surely that must have it must be very, no, you're talking to a non-Muslim, it's like, wow, like talking to somebody you believe who's like your creator, somebody who believes like he's like controlling your world, somebody you believe who knows, like who understands you. That must be really, really a profound, experience, right? And you're like, yeah, right? Because it isn't. That's why, right? It's kind of lame, like it's dead. So we really have to have that in our mind. Like this is a really profound, profound interactions between beings. And so there should be an impression. And if there isn't an impression, if it doesn't mean anything, it means it's like we seriously need to do a lot of work, right? Because there's all this build up, right? فالتراويح, and forgive my analogies, but I'm trying to find something that's very like, you know, sometimes the analogy is like a kind of a, it does hit a point, right? Um, so it says فالتراويح لمشروعية الجماعة فيها, right? فالضحى. So again, classic mistake. You put tarawih over a fard. How could somebody do that? How could somebody prioritize tarawih over a fard? What's an example of that? Go ahead, Qais.
Um, so like let's say someone has some older parents and he's still not married. And actually this is the case with a lot of shabab actually. And they rely on him, let's say emotionally, or they rely on him to be there. And he knows that they would actually rather him stay with them than go pray in the masjid, Tarawih, but he goes and prays Tarawih anyway.
Yeah, because again, it's not very gratifying, is it?
Yeah.
You miss out. You feel like I've missed out. So yeah, that's because you're a materialist person, right? You've missed out because you're a materialist. That's why, right? Okay, another scenario? What about work, Jawad?
The same question, like prioritizing Tarawih over Rafal.
So for example, you are falling like yesterday you fell asleep at the desk. The next day you fall asleep at the desk. You know, you don't have the luxury. Some people have luxury, can work whenever they want, right? You can just get the work done later on or whatever. Get the work done by tomorrow morning, I don't care. Like, you know, they can just go home. But many people say, no, you Habib, you have to be there at 8 o'clock and I expect you to be awake and you're not, you know? Like I remember I guess, yeah, I remember my dad telling me that. It's like, you know, they're paying you to be awake, you know? Like you can't be asleep, right? Or like you're not really there. So then you tell yourself, bro, let's be frank. If you go to the masjid and you're going to start the prayer at 10 and you're going to finish by 11:30, 12, you're going to fall asleep again today. But so the nafs is like, no. So the nafs again becomes this shaitan. The nafs by default is pretty dumb. But then it starts to become a bit of a shaitan. It kind of like learns from its friend and it starts to say things like, yeah, but it's sunnah and you know, man qama Ramadan, say habibi, yeah. But ada al-fara'id number one, right? And if you want, just do qada of it on Saturday and Sunday. Right? You have time on Saturday and Sunday, do qada of Taraweeh. I don't know. So there's nothing wrong with doing everything as long as nothing that is prioritized is not being prioritized. Right? But there's a problem, right? It's like, Habibi, you're falling asleep. Jawad needs to sleep. You're like, I slept last night 4 hours, right? Alhamdulillah, I got like proper 4 hours in and I'm totally functioning. Somebody is like, bro, if I sleep 4 hours, I'm not going to be functioning. You know what I'm saying? Someone else needs 2 hours, right? Someone else, well, it's going to be like this. If I will do it, but I'll be super grumpy and I'm going to have an argument with everybody. So, Habibi, don't do it then. So it's very important. Fiqh al-awliyat is really important. 100% I want to pray tarawih, but I actually don't have the physical capability of doing it. I'm one of these people, I need to sleep 8 hours, you know? Or let's say, for example, two days in a row, oh, you got 4 hours, like you're going to break. You're going to break someone's face. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. It's like, Habibi, know your limits and stick to your limits. That is fiqh. And you go to sleep and say, Ya Allah, please give me the ajr of Taraweeh and Qiyam al-Layl. I honest to God, I would pray here for 4 hours, 6 hours. I would do 3 khatams, right? But again, that's the issue we're going to come back to and say, did you used to do that? Right? So, you know, again, not talking about myself, but like I remember doing 3 ajza in Taraweeh, right? Back in the day. I don't do that anymore. But I remember, you know, and I was like, yeah, I'm not married, don't have kids. Like, yeah, why not? Why can't you do 3 ajza? You know? Why not? Like you got the time. So the issue is use the time while you have it. But prioritizing like it is, you know, this is one of these issues I had as a teenager, right? Was like high school and stuff like that. Was like, I'm like late because I'm trying to balance these things, right? Now I didn't, you know, I knew these concepts, didn't know the concept, but it's hard sometimes, even if you know the concept, just really being frank about it, you know, like, hey, I can't do this. This is actually stressing me out. You know, memorizing the Quran is making this person really, really stressed. They get into arguments with their spouse, for example. Like, Habibi, bro, know your limits. Know what you can do, know what you can't do, accept it, and move and worship Allah based on the reality. There's lazy is one thing, and then is on the other extreme is just not being realistic. So if you want to do work, you're getting paid to be there at 8 o'clock and you're being paid to be awake. You can do it, do it. Remember, there's no caffeine because you're fasting, remember this, remember that. It's like, bro, you're falling asleep at the desk. Strike one, strike two. You don't need the manager to come and warn you. You warn yourself. See, I fear Allah concerning the huquq that are upon me. So you prioritize the wajib over the sunnah. It is wajib to prioritize the wajib over the sunnah, right? So yeah, he's like, dude, why aren't you at Taraweeh? So it's just haram for me to be there. So okay, you know. And interestingly, I heard this even from a Hanafi, right? There was a Hanafi Mufti in Jordan, and we were teaching in intensive classes in Jordan, and they had exams and they had quizzes, and they're like, Sheikh, we can't do everything. We can't pray Taraweeh and do our homework. He said, do your homework. This is from a Hanafi Mufti, right? Hanafis is right sinful for them to miss Taraweeh regularly without an excuse, right? He's saying this, miss Taraweeh, Sunnah, you know. So this is you have this 6 weeks to do this class, 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, whatever it is. You gotta get on with it, and you gotta prioritize things, right? فالضحى uh, hmm? What does it say? لما
لتأقتها.
تأقتها جزاكم الله خير لتأقتها because it's tied to a time. فما تعلق بفعل كركعتي الطواف وإحرام والتحية هذا ما في الروضة وأصلها وظاهره أن هذه ثلاث مستوية. Okay, so he said basically duha is more important than the 2 rakahs of after tawaf, which is funny because I think there's a position there's wajib, isn't it? Here we go. So he says هذا ما في الروضة وأصلها. What's أصلها? What's أصل الروضة? Who's before Imam Nawawi? Very close to Imam Nawawi. The Imam Nawawi tweaked his works. He tweaked his work and the Muharrar, and he made the Minhaj, and he did an ikhtisar of his large work, and he made the Rawda.
Rafi'i?
Al-Rafi'i, jazakumullah khair. Right? So it says this is what we find in the Rawda. This is what Imam Rafi'i is saying in Al-Aziz, Sharh al-Wajiz, or Sharh al-Kabir. And this is what we find in Rawd al-Talibin by Imam Nawawi. Right? That basically Duha is more important than the 2 rakahs of Tawaf because Duha is tied to a time and Tawaf isn't. ظاهره أن هذه الثلاثة مستوية وأن ركعتي سنة الوضوء في رتبة ما تعلق بفعل لكن أخرهما في المجموع عنه وقال في المهمات مهمات. So now we have Rafi'i, then we have Nawawi, and then we have Ibn Rifa'a, and then we have Isnawi, and Subki comes in the middle. Okay, but these are these kind of 3-4 levels of like the pre-final take of the school, right? Rafi'i and Nawawi, Ibn Rifa'a, so his book Kifayat al-Nabih, Sharh al-Tanbih, super amazing book, right? He's the one, Ibn Rifa'a is the one who was set there to debate Ibn Taymiyyah, and then al-Isnawi. So Jalaluddin Isnawi comes and destroys everybody. So he has a book Al-Muhimmat, which is he's going through the Sharh Kabir by Imam Rafi'i and going through the Rawda of Imam Nawawi and destroying them and saying both of you don't make any sense. And this goes against the madhab and goes against the ashab and goes against this. And you said this, but doesn't make sense. Da, 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 da. And then he also has a small critique of a critique of Ibn Rifa as well. And that's a separate book. I don't think that's not in Muhammad, right? And then he also has a commentary on the Minhaj, which his student Az-Zarkashi completed. Right? So he didn't complete that. So that's an Islawi, Jalaluddin, or Jamaluddin, I believe his name is Jamaluddin al-Islawi. قال في المهمات المتجه تقديم ركعتي الطواف للخلاف في وجوبها. وجوبها عند، نعم، ثم ركعتي التحية لأن سببها وقع، ثم ركعتي الإحرام لاحتمال أنها لا يقع سببها. Right? Because it might not happen. You pray 2 rak'ahs and then you enter ihram. Maybe you just change your mind. Right? انتهى. وفي
وفي معنى ما تعلق بفعل ما تعلق
وفي
بسبب.
معنى ما تعلق بفعل ما تعلق بسبب غير فعل فيما يظهر. So we have time, action, something else. So something else is the same kind of thing. Right? Like كصلاة الزوال فيما يظهر كصلاة زوال وصلاة غفلة والصلاة غفلة. Where is this صلاة غفلة؟ تسمى أيضا صلاة الأوابين. Oh, okay, fine. Okay. صلاة الأوابين. So anyway, so why is صلاة زوال وفيما يتعلق بفعل ما تعلق بسبب غير هذا فيما يظهر كالصلاة. So why is he saying these things are like that? Because these are connected to time. So he says here that Muhashi, he says الإسنوي قال في المهمات إلى آخره هذا مقابل قوله مستوية وهو ضعيف على فكرة. Right? Right? And then he says مستوية معتمد. So this is very important. So what happened is survival of the fittest, and Isnawi didn't survive. If that makes sense. So Isnawi is always, it's basically, we're always going to see Isnawi with Rudud. He's going to be saying, this doesn't make sense. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Doesn't make sense. And that's very useful. But, usually we're going to hear him. He's going to come up and we're going to say, yeah, but that doesn't count. Right? So what's happening is each generation is critically receiving the previous generation until there's no more objections to be made. So the objections are still being made, but they're not being accepted. Does that make sense? So Imam Nawawi is objecting to some things that Rafi'i said, and people are accepting it. Right? Al-Isnawi is now objecting to Imam Nawawi, but people are not accepting it. Right? Does it make sense? So this democratic thing of like nobody's like right because they're right. Here's the argument, but basically everyone's just like, look, you're wrong. So the voice is still there, voice of dissent is still there, but it's just not accepted. Okay, so anyway, Salat al-Awabin. But I don't understand what he's saying here. Because it says وفي معنى ما تعلق بفعل ما تعلق بسبب غير فعل فيما يظهر كصلاة زوال. صلاة الزوال is a time. Or صلاة الغفلة, which is also in a time. So صلاة الأوابين is between Maghrib and Isha. You know what I'm saying? So not sure what the point he's trying to make here. Sounds a bit odd, basically. But anyway, the point is usually have time and event. And then it says, what's the next word here? فَصَلَاةُ لَيْلٍ. Oh, فَصَلَاةُ لَيْلٍ. Praying at night in general between Maghrib and Fajr. Right, this is called صَلَاةُ لَيْلٍ. لِخَبَرِ where are we? لخبري quote أفضل الصلاة بعد الفرائض صلاة الليل. So صلاة الليل so ظاهره أن صلاة الليل تلي الفريضة في الفضيلة فتكون مقدمة على العيدين وما بعدهما وليس كذلك إلا أن يقال المراد بالصلاة فيه النفل المطلق. So anyway, so here Salat al-Layl is Sunnah prayers prayed at night, as opposed to Tahajjud, which is Sunnah prayers prayed at night after waking up after Isha. Right, so you go to sleep after Isha for 15 minutes and you wake up, now Tahajjud. Otherwise, it's not Tahajjud. It's cool.
So is it, sorry, Sheikh, is it in our school, do we say that, I don't know if I'm looking at this, I don't know if I'm like, if I looked at this enough to ask this question, but is he saying that the best salah على الإطلاق بعد الفرائض هي صلاة الليل لا صلاة التهجد؟
No, his point is he's saying that if you said Salat al-Layl is the best, that means it's better than like Eid. So praying like an extra 2 rakahs or praying 2 rakahs of Tahajjud is better than praying Salat al-Eid, which is not true. So he says, oh, but what? Okay, what do you mean then by Salat al-Layl? I it's a nafil mutlaq in the night. Like the nafil mutlaq in the night is better than nafil mutlaq during the day. So okay, that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay. Um. Okay. وأكثر هذه المذكورات مع ترتيب الآكدية فيها من زيادة ورابعها مكروهة وهي كثيرة. Okay, the next category is makruh prayers. So it says مكروه وهي كثيرة كصلاة وهو أولى من قوله هي صلاة. It's like a prayer كصلاة حاقب بالموحدة أي بالغائط وصلاة حاق بالنون أي بالبول. You say Allah احقن دماء المسلمين, keep the blood of the believers inside their bodies, right? So حاقن, this thing is trying to come out, you're bursting to go to the bathroom, right? So the issue is not you could go to the bathroom, it's issue you're bursting to go to the bathroom, right? So you can imagine somebody goes to the doctor and say, oh, we need urine sample. Say, oh, I can't do that. So why? Don't need to go to the bathroom. So well, can you just like try? It's like, don't think so, right? So normally a lot of people could urinate if they wanted to, you know. So the fact that you could in principle, or like, there's some sense of it, right? That's not what we're talking about. Um, right. So here, for example, if you look at in terms of when you say somebody wants to eat, you say tawaqan, shiddat al-ishtiyaq, like, oh my God, that looks like the nicest food ever, and I am absolutely starving. What should you do? Should you sit down and eat, or should you pray? You should sit down and eat. وخرج به مجرد الشوق. Oh, that looks nice, right? um, وكالتوقان للطعام التوقان للجماع مع حضور حليلته, right? So what's more important? Should you pray and then sleep with your wife, or sleep with your wife then pray? So, well, are you going to catch the prayers? Yeah. Okay. Then that's a better thing to do, right? And that was the other example I was going to give about Taraweeh, right? Here's a sister, mashallah. She's the front row of Taraweeh, and all the angels on Layl al-Qadr, what are they doing to her?
يلعنوها.
Yeah, why? Because like, so sister, it's not about your husband and patriarchy and about how twisted men are and they're all obsessed about sex. It's about sister, like worship Allah as He wants to be worshipped, right? So you be an adult, look, and you talk to your husband, look, I really want to pray the night tonight. Uh, can we do something later? Whatever this, organize it in a normal way. That's how we function, right? That's how we function. I live with Sheikh Qais and I'm like, bro, look, I have some things I need to pay. Can I please, I can't pay half the rent this month. Is that okay? As opposed to, I just awkwardly kind of avoided it. It's unfortunately, this is what husband and wife do. It's like, you're kind of like really stupid. It's like, are you serious? Like I thought you're like religious adults. And a lot of people, because why? Intimacy is extremely loaded. It's a really complex thing. It's complex for men in one way, complex for women another way. So it makes it really difficult to discuss in a kind of very frank and way. Like it's not like money. Number one, I'm a man and Qais is a man. And he can either, like, you say, look, Sheikh, I would love to pay your half of the rent this month and you can pay me back next month. I just don't have the money. So, like, it's not an emotional thing. It's just like a reality, yes or no, right? And we can kind of solve it fairly easily. But intimacy is so emotionally loaded that it just makes things much more complex, right? It's not, so that's why I said about, a prostitute, may Allah protect us. Like, they're kind of like insane people, because they can kind of like use their body in a certain way and just like detach. So they're either detached because they've been like molested or whatever, or like I don't know where they've been. Like it's really weird. It's not a normal situation. You know what I'm saying? Just like you're at work and you work for 2 years with some lady or some guy, it's not normal not to have emotions for them. It's not normal, right? كثرة الموافقة. We were a great team, Sarah and I. We were a great team, Hannah and I. We solved that thing. You like, you cracked something. We dealt with the manager in a similar way. We achieve. You do these things. A relationship builds. It's normal. It's how it is. Sit down, have some food with somebody. You bond. Bonds are normal, right? These are normal things. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So this woman is just basically just immature. Like you want to worship Allah in a material way, meaning I was at the front row of the masjid. I saw the Imam. The Imam made dua for me. It's like, sister, do you want Allah or do you want prayer? Okay, you know. So, it's funny. I just share this. Sheikh Ratib Nabulsi, if people are familiar with him. You know, uh, I was at he was at a wedding, and people say funny things at weddings. Anyway, so then he said, he gave this talk, and then he said at the end, وَقُومِي إِلَى فَرَاشِكِ إِلَى فِرَاشِكِ. And I was like, oh, bro, like that's a bit of a low blow. Like, bro, like, what do you want? Like, now go sleep with your husband. That's a bit funny. But then I realized later it's not. He wasn't joking. What he's doing is a joke. It's kind of funny, but he's actually saying, look, sister, there was a time when your ibadah was limited to certain spheres. Now your ibadah is broader, and there's different types of ibadah. There's ibadah of sitting down and having a joke. There's ibadah of sleeping. There's ibadah of studying. There's ibadah of prayer. And now there's another type of ibadah. And this is like pretty important ibadah, right? And so, so the scenario like where your husband's like, no, actually, um, I don't want you to go. And she's like, oh, you're so such a worldling, I wish I was married to a sheikh. He's like, well, maybe the sheikh will ask the same thing. I don't know, you know. So it's very important, so both of you anyway, I advise when before you get married, talk about these things, you know. And don't expect them to happen, right? That's something else, right? Like, you know, women will weaponize worship to get away from their husbands. She's like, that's it. I just wanna be with Allah, right? So like just wants to be with her friends, she wants to be with her parents, you need space, you need that. Like you have to like, give people things, right? They will weaponize things. Oh, I'm just finishing this, I'm just finishing like just because you don't want to be with your husband, basically. Right? That's the ups and downs of married life. But I'm saying it is important that okay, that ups and down is there, but to begin with, does she recognize that? There was one lady, she said, look, I'm just telling you now that my job is da'wah. My life is about da'wah. Whenever you come between me and da'wah, we're over. It's like, okay, thank you, sister, for being frank. Thank you. Like, I appreciate that. So you say, what is more important, going to work or being home for me, your husband? And she says, being home for my husband. What is more important, your career or your husband? Your husband. What is more important, going to the masjid or your husband? My husband. What is more important, this, this. So it's all there. In theory, she gets it. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like, hell no, what are you talking about? Like what? Why would why did I miss Laylatul Qadr for my husband? That doesn't make any sense. So in her mind, she doesn't understand the concept. She thinks Allah is inside the mosque, but she doesn't know Allah could be astaghfirullah. I mean, I don't want to say it as an analogy, but like, yeah, remember the hadith with I was hungry, you didn't feed me. So it's like, yeah, that's the same thing. Like I had a physical haqq over you, and had you fulfilled that, you would had been, you'd have found me. So then she'll say to you, Ya Allah, you're Rabb al-Alameen. How could I astaghfirullah, sleep with Rabb al-Alameen? Say, well, had you slept with your husband, you would have found me, you know? But again, it's extremely emotionally loaded. One brother, he told me this. He says, like you talk to these sisters, it's like, dude, there's this lady, you give her a couple $100, she'll do whatever you want. And this woman, you give her Jannah, she won't do it. So yeah, because the prostitute is a head case. That's why. She's a drug addict. She's like living in, she's like sexually abused. I don't know what it is, you know, or I don't know, she's something else. But a normal human being is like, it's quite hard, not just quite hard, very hard to be regularly available for a man, right? And just be like, yeah, on demand, despite all her friends at the 27th of Ramadan and her favorite sheikh is giving a talk and. It's a pretty hard thing to do. Go ahead, Sheikh, please.
Yeah, Sheikh, like I was just gonna ask, like, what is the reason that um a lot of people, in fact, the majority from what I'm seeing, um, they have this lack of imani maturity, if that makes sense. But it's on the same thing you're talking about of actually understanding what Allah wants, not what my nafs wants, or stuff like that. Like, why do you think people just don't understand this stuff?
Because they have huge nufus and they don't do jihad nafs ever.
Like, what I mean is like I
Like,
don't want
like,
to say it's a shaitan or the nafs, but because I feel like I gave an example. Like I feel like I misrepresented what I said. It's like I can, for example, um, actually, could you stop the recording? Because I do want to say something slightly personal. I'm okay with
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
sheikh knowing the example. Allah, prayers important. Because man, I'm not saying that this is the reason, but maybe had he, I don't know, prayed at that time when he wasn't focused, يعني,
So when
ليس
now you're
بخشوع
praying, now you're
يعني.
playing every single time the person does the qada prayer, do they feel big about themselves or small?
Oh, they يعني يحقروا أنفسهم يعني.
Exactly. Alhamdulillah. So before your masha شيء في حاله ما شاء الله أنا صليت في المسجد كذا وكذا and he's like متكبر, right? And it's like it was worth nothing to Allah, zero. I prayed in the haram, took a selfie and everything. I don't really care. But now this person's like embarrassed himself in a stupid way. He had an affair with like an ugly non-Muslim secretary. He just embarrassed himself. And then he has all these qada prayers, and then it's just all the nafs is gone. And he's just the idiot, and everybody knows him as an idiot. And he's like, Yeah, Allah, like I don't have anything but you. It's like, oh, finally you realize that? Finally, like who is it? Harraq, one of the famous awliya. That was his thing. He was a famous scholar, and they set him up. They put a prostitute in his house, and then they're like, oh yeah, there's a prostitute in your house. Were you sleeping with the prostitute? He's like, what are you talking about? And she came out and said, hi guys, and then he just like they set him up. He didn't do anything, but basically he broke down. Like he was like a qadi. He was an important person, and they just like destroyed him. And so like he broke down, like totally in bed for a month, and then he could start his journey. But people don't break down, so they don't start their journey. So what happens? They don't. There's no break, right? روعة الانتباه أثقل في الميزان من أعمال الثقلين. Like the shock of waking up, you're actually a really bad person and you've messed up and you're not that amazing and you have nobody apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to turn to. You can't turn to yourself and you can't turn to anybody and you can't rely on your money and you can't rely on your passport and you can't rely on this. You're like, yeah, Allah, I have nobody but you. Now we're starting Tawheed. Now we're actually on the journey. You were driving the wrong direction the whole time, right? And so many people, they got to go the way of sledgehammer, right? They got to be bombed to pieces. They have to be destroyed, right? And the shocking thing is, right? I mean, again, you're gonna have Palestinian, you got cousins. They're out there. They're in Gaza. They're there. It's like Allah Subhanahu wa Taala sends them everything, and they don't understand the message at all. You know what I'm saying? Zero. It's like Subhanallah. Like, what do you want? You know, what do you want? Like, they don't even see it. القضية فلسطينية is like, dude, it's not قضية فلسطينية, it's قضية دينية. There's a fundamental difference, right? We are not Muhammadans, we are Muslims. There's a fundamental difference, right? And so like they just lost the whole plot on so many levels and they don't get any message, right? May Allah forgive us, right? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then one of the key things is what? Taqwa. And the other word is suhbah. So they have صحبة الأشرار, everyone's watching TV, right? What do you want to do? So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, no TV for the last, what, 24 years, you know? So it's a different kind of thing, right? But صحبة الأشرار, that's what it is. They will have صحبة الأشرار, so they don't want to change. Okay, anyway, صلاة حاق بالبول صلاة حازق بالزاي والقاف أي بضيق حازق بالزاي والقاف أي بضيق الخف ها tight shoes on.
I have khuf as well.
So it says here بضيق الخف فسره بعضهم بالمدافع للريح وأما الذي يضيق الخف فيقال فيه حافز. I don't know. I think it means. I mean, in principle, makes sense, right? It doesn't matter what it is. The point is something that is removable that is distracting you. So he's really needs to pass wind, and it's really uncomfortable, and he could go and pass wind, but he wants to pray instead. Or he's got really, really tight shoes on. He's got really, really tight shoes on, and it's really difficult. So then what? You just take your shoes off, but you're in pain. You just want to pray anyway, right? So anything is the same. I don't know. So I've never heard of that masala before. It's the same idea. There is something that is possible. It's a distraction that you could remove, but you don't, and you just pray instead, right? Same thing. I just want to text my mom and see if she's okay. You know, just she arrived. So it's like you have half an hour left. It's actually want to call her, calling. 20 minutes left to pray. I just want to pray. I will pray, but I just want to check that she okay. Mama, you okay? Okay, Mama, I got to pray, but just want to make sure you're okay. Fine. Alhamdulillah. So you see that like you have the anxiety. So there's a difference between Adam at-tawakkul, which is I can't rely on Allah, so therefore I can't pray, versus Allah wants me to remove this anxiety that I naturally have so that I can pray with focus. It's not the same, right? It's not the same thing, right? So anyway, so I'm not quite sure that خوف قن حازق وصلاة جائع وصلاة عطشان وصلاة حافز. That's the same thing. وعند غلبة النوم, right? So I remember being in that situation, like reading the Quran and like I just gotta finish the juz, gotta finish the juz, and like I'm in pain. You know, like when you're so hot, you're so tired, like it hurts. Like Habibi, don't do that, right? Some people, mashallah, they have more energy. Some people have less energy. Some people can do one thing. Like, be moderate, right? Don't get to the point where you're literally in pain. وغلبة النوم. Like once I was praying, you know, that was like the closest to kufr I ever got. I was so tired. I don't think I wasn't like almost insane. You know? It was like, may Allah protect me. Like that was like weird, right? When I'm not even thinking properly, you know? عند غلبة النوم. وفي كل حال يذهب or يذهب الخشوع or الخشوع. Okay, so you can't focus, right? والأصل في ذلك خبر مسلم لا صلاة بحضرة طعام ولا وهو يدافعه الأخبثان أي البول والغائط, right? So the point is any of these things. Excuse me. ويسن أن يبدأ بتفريغ نفسه من ذلك قبل الصلاة وإن خاف فوت الجماعة, right? I just had an argument with Qais about Diwali. He ordered Diwali and he didn't come, and I told him, why did you order from that guy? I told you he's not going to come. I'm freaked out in my head. Just can't pray right now. Bro, you're not even praying with us? What's your problem? Allah yasamaḥak. I shouldn't pray with you right now. I should just, right? Some people are calmer than other people. Some people are Philistini, Asabiyin, right? And just like, bro, like know yourself. Just walk off. Come back in 10 minutes. Pray properly. But if you can't pray as you are now, don't pray. Right? Same thing with fasting, right? Bro, you're fasting every Monday and Thursday, and every Monday and Thursday you get an argument with people. Habibi. You know what I'm saying? It's like, know your limits. Don't come home until after Maghrib. I don't know. Know your limits. Know what you need to do. Right? Know what you can do, what you can't do. Um, okay. So anyway, fulfill that need, get that thing out of the way, and then move on with life. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to have the dunya in your hand, so that and not in your heart. Right? So you really need to eat. Go and eat a little bit. Here's another example, right? You're late to the masjid. Okay? You're the religious guy in the community. You're late to the masjid and they're all praying and you haven't eaten yet. What should you do? Should you join the Jama'ah or should you eat?
Eat.
Eat. But it's a bit embarrassing that you're the only person. Like you're there at the back of the masjid eating and everyone's like, Allah Yassamih, what's your problem? Like, you know? Because normal people worship people, meaning we do what other people do. Does that make sense? So because it's embarrassing that other people aren't eating, they'll just go and pray. What you're gonna be, because people don't would find it weird, you don't do it, and but now you're not focused in prayer, right? So I remember being in a situation like that, right? Like I'm in a situation, someone came to they said, there's a thing called prayer. Like he was joking with me, right? But you're just kind of finding it weird, like you're a sheikh, like why aren't you praying with everybody else? You know? So can you see, like on a deeper level, like so whose orbit are you in? Are you in Allah's orbit? In the orbit of people's opinion, right? So then I prefer to be looked down as an idiot or a fake sheikh. They're like, he's not really a sheikh. Look, he's eating pizza at the back of the masjid while we're all praying. How is he a sheikh? Yeah, because I came late and I need to eat X amount in order to focus. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's really that's so now we have quality ibadah because you got embarrassed. Darqawi, he says this is that I love to hear that which the bad things people say about you and about his students and what brings your souls to life. Because everybody has this thing, like, you know, do good. So do good is mixed with reputation. Reputation is a big thing, right? Our world, reputation, right? Dar fulan, right? Dar fulan, bani kada. It's like, what are you talking about? So we're people, we throw all our idols against the wall, smash into pieces, right? That's, within limits, right? So in the past, there were some people who would intentionally do embarrassing things. We don't have to do embarrassing. Just follow the sunnah and you'll embarrass yourself. People will look at you as an idiot. Um, but it is important. Right? And that's why Sufyan al-Thawri said, I've never heard of anything as hard as sacred knowledge and actually applying it. Because it's hard to do stuff like that, right? The dunya seeps in. It's a cancer that seeps into every venue of the deen. And getting it out is very, very hard. SubhanAllah, I had I got four rabbits in a cage next to each other, okay? Two of them, I think they already have mange on their, like a little bit, I've seen a little bit of their hair thing, and I think should be on that mange, and you take them to the vet. Now I noticed the third one. It's like, look, sahib, right? That's how it is. Hang out with worldly people, be in the world, it seeps in, right? It seeps in. Right, Lord of the Rings, Frodo and the Frodo and the not Frodo, Bilbo and the ring. He just had the ring for a long time, and eventually starts becoming like Gollum. Like it just seeps in. So it's a real thing, but it is avoidable. It's not inevitable, but it just takes hard work, and we have to be very frank and have to swallow bitter pills. Right. Um. I'm really tired. في كل حال يذهب الخشوع والأصل في ذلك خبر مسلم لا صلاة بحضرة طعام ولا وهو يدافعه الأخبثان. So what about if I could eat, if I could go to the bathroom, or I'm a bit tired? No. Right. وصلاة منفرد ولو عن الصف والجماعة قائمة للنهي عنها في خبر البخاري وفي معنى قيام الجماعة توقع قيامها. right? وتحرم وتحرم الصلاة. Okay. So you're praying by yourself while everyone else is praying in separate jama'ah, or you started a prayer before you're like, خلاص, I can't be bothered to wait for them to pray. I'm just going to pray by myself. Allahu Akbar. Right? And then, so you prayed before they started, but expecting they're going to start praying while you're praying, or standing back, you're in a line behind, right? So you shouldn't be in a line behind them. So the mu'tamad in the school is that you lean forward and tap somebody and have them come back. So basically, the row in front of you is now 90% complete, but you're not standing by yourself. That is the mu'tamad in the school, right? Ya Rab. And it says, وَتَحْرِمُ الصَّلَاةُ بِلَا سَبَبٍ. Inshallah, we'll stop here, guys. I'm sorry, we kind of started late, and inshallah, we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Okay, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم
وعليكم
السلام.
السلام ورحمة الله.